Okay, we're back. Um, the circle of modes is a new concept here. Again, this is not a circle of fifths. It's not a circle of modes, 7 modes, with the minor and the major shape, and the major and the half diminished having the same essential shape but modified. Now you see an A minor here. You know it's modified from an A major shape. So we have this chart here, up here, and I've mapped this onto the circle. So if I have an A minor shaped C minor, so I'm up here at my A shaped C. Got the capo on the 5. There's your 5. You can't see it right now, but focus on this circle of modes here. Okay, if we go to the A minor shape, that's C minor, that's an A minor shaped C minor, okay? Now, if we go to the G shape, this is how easy, this is brainless stuff, absolutely no brain. It makes it easy. If we go to the G shape here, okay, now there's a black note there. Why? Because C minor, A minor shaped C minor, is the Dorian of a G shaped B flat. So Dorian is always the second minor. Okay? This is how the circle of modes works. But still, it's C, A, G, E, D. And in pentatonic scale, this way, C, D, E, G, A. So you got to look at, so if I'm looking at this and I say, I'm looking at this A minor shaped C minor, I want this to be the Phrygian third. Okay, then we're going to look at it over here. Okay, look at the C minor as a Phrygian third. Obviously, it's the Phrygian third of A flat. Okay, so the Phrygian third is the key of 6 flat. If we're in the key of C, it's the A flat. Okay, so it's the key of A flat is the root key, and it's E shape. So it'd be, but is it going to be this E? No, it's going to be this E. Okay, here's our C minor. Here's the B flat. Okay, so it's the Phrygian third, and by the way, that would be a B minor at that point. You wouldn't be playing this again. You know, it's once again, it sounds good, but that would be that would turn that into an Aeolian. So let's look what the Aeolian is. So again, we're going to focus not so much on this, but on this circle of modes here. In the A minor shaped, in my case it's an A minor shaped C minor, just your A minor. If you want to get, excuse me, and I realize I'm coughing into the microphone, I should put the sound over that one. If you want to get an Aeolian now, we're going to go up a pen scale. So in other words, here's your pen scale. Okay, when you go ahead in a cage, let's say I'm doing a C shape here. I know its minor is going to be a head 1 cage, so in cage C goes to A minor. That's its Aeolian. But if you start with the Aeolian, you're going to go the other way. So you want to go ahead in 1 pent letter. C pen scale goes this way. So A goes to C in a pentatonic scale coined in the key of C. So it's C, D, E, A, G, A. That's the cage system. It's not like A, B, C sharp, E, F sharp system. Okay, whatever word that spells, you know what I'm saying? I'm not gonna read my brain by making up words for each of that one of those letters or whatever. So it's coined in the key of C. So to get the Aeolian from the A minor shape here, to make that A minor an Aeolian, we would go to the C shape. Now we can go over here. Excuse me. Now we can go over here and look at our A minor 5 root 3 like that. I'm going to zoom out a little bit because I may have to check this chart. I like to look at this too. 5 root 3. Then the C shape is going to be 3 flat. So it's 7 flat, 3 flat, 5. 7 flat's going to be the 5th because you know that's the 5th in the C shape. And then 3 flat and then 5 again. So making it into an Aeolian is the key of 3 flat there. It's C shaped. So it's a key of 3 flat, so that's pretty much an E flat if you're playing a C minor. So you're playing an A minor shapes. Okay, the root shape is going to be a C shape. And that's going to be in the E flat. Here's your E. That's the name of that tune. Now, the wonderful thing about this particular study is that we don't have any sunken notes. We're not plagued by sunken notes in normal caged. I go up, let's leave our fretboard for once and look at the A shape right here. If we drew the fret nut right here and we wanted to do an A pen scale, it would be 5, 6, root 2, 3, 5. Up. This you don't have. It's sunken. So in our situation here, I'm going to just try to get out of drawing tool, and then we're going to go back to this. But I want to draw your attention to something else too. So we don't have that problem here, okay? And we're also have an extra fret over here. So we've got an extra fret up here, which is nice. And we got an extra fret over here. This is probably to facilitate this, but I'm still not comfortable with this root on the D shape, okay? Because it's not one of these keys. So how does that work? I'm not sure, but we needed this. I put this in 2 cases. One perhaps for, you know, for perhaps for to go up 1 caged letter. So if we have a C minor shape, say we're doing a C minor shape in the C box or something, where we're going 5 root 3, 5 root 3, and we want to take that up to an A minor shape, okay, then we're going to have 5 root 3. We're going to need to borrow a little something from the A box there. That's one reason that's there. The other reason, I forget, but I put it there, so there's 2 cases that are going to need this, so I just put them on all of it. Okay, but it's wonderful that we have this extra fret right here, prevents us from having any sunken notes. Now let's look at something else. Here's the key diagram for what we're doing. I figured this out first, that when you want the mixolydian of a minor, okay, CS is the cage shape, the root of the cage shape, it should be RCS, is +2 pentatonic. So let's look at that. Here's mixolydian right here, +2 pentatonic. C minor goes to D, goes to the E shape. So E shape would be the shape where we'd have a C major mixolydian up here. I didn't draw the major there for the mixolydian because Okay, I had to take a little break and take care of my doggy. So this chart here, this was a rule. So Dorian is the root cage shape plus one caged. In other words, C, looking at the key of C on the piano. Okay, those are the modes. They're actually okay, those are the sevenths, but these are the triads. So with the Dorian, you know that it's one pent above, one pent scale above the root. So the root is one caged letter because that caged is the pent scale backwards, D, E, G, A, C. That's a pent scale going this way, D, E, G, A, C. D, E, G, A, C. Remember, it goes in a circle, so D always goes to C, C always goes to D, and it just continues on. C, A, G, A, C, A, C, and then D, E, G, A, C, and then D again. See how D connects to C again on the way down again? That's what I wanted to do before. So, but this started to worry me about more rules. I don't want more rules. I want something that's easier. So it suddenly dawned on me I had forgotten you just looked at the minor in context. Where is it in context to a pentatonic scale of modes of scale tone chords? So we got example in the C cage, C minor is the Aeolian of the D shape. Okay, because the D shape, now we can talk about guitar. C minor, I have a C minor down here, by the way. G, C, and an E flat there. Because the tuning of my guitar down tuned is C, F, B flat, E flat, G, C. So here's my C minor. C minor is the Aeolian of the D shape. So usually we're in the D shape here in B flat. I want to go down to the sixth. So I'm going to go one ahead and caged. D goes to C in the word caged. Right, oh, here it is. D goes to C. So it's going to be C minor because I'm going to a minor.